Bouyon! Ay, ay, ay. That's like a sauce, man. Hey, Pepe.
Let the rhythm inspire you at the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026. Pure Jazz. Tuesday, May 5th, Grammy-winning Esperanza Spalding. Then on Thursday, May 7th, Branford Marcellus Quartet. May 6th, Kingdom Night. Gospel Powerhouse Ty Trebet. Ada AE. Then feel the rhythm at Caribbean Fusion. Friday, May 8th, featuring the original Wailers with Al Anderson. Skip Marley has the band. Imran Nerdy, Dexter Daps. World Beats. Saturday, May 9th, Afrobeat sensation Thames. Princess Lover, X-Man, Lou City, October 4, and Ella May. The Ultimate Celebration, Sunday, May 10th, featuring the legendary Billy Ocean. Beverly Knight, Mervyn Wilkinson, R&B icons Brandy and Monica. Online tickets available at stluciajazzandartsfestival.com.
All the wonders in the world, St. Lucia's only meant for me. So much history to be told and so much more for eyes to see. The colors, feel the love, I can tell you all the way. Proud of it, proud of it, proud of it, proud of it. It don't matter where I voyage, it don't matter where I roam. Majestic becomes
Good night, and welcome to another episode of Bouyon. Of course, I am your host, Peter D, and tonight I am so happy to have with me in the house some amazing people to talk about autism. You know, autism attacks so many lives and so many people, and I am so happy that I have a panel to really get into that discussion. Once again, I want to say good night and thank you guys for being here. I want to also give a big shout out to my SLNDC family for an amazing prayer breakfast yesterday. I want to also say condolences to Mr. Wright, condolences to my member Albert, who's lost a family member. I want to say condolences to you guys. But let me tell you guys, I'm about to have a really amazing discussion. Before I bring my panel on, and we're gonna play one more ad, and then I'm gonna bring them on, and then we're gonna get into the heart and the meat of this discussion. I also want to thank my my Bouyon team for always working tirelessly to ensure that we have a good show, a good program. So thank you, Bouyon and Bouyon team.
Let the rhythm inspire you at the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026. Pure Jazz. Tuesday, May 5th, Grammy-winning Esperanza Spalding. Then on Thursday, May 7th, Branford Marcellus Quartet. May 6th, Kingdom Night. Gospel Powerhouse Ty Trebet. Ada AE. Then feel the rhythm at Caribbean Fusion. Friday, May 8th, featuring the original Wailers with Al Anderson. Skip Marley has the band. Imran Nerdy, Dexter Daps.
speaking.
World Beats, Saturday, May 9th, Afrobeat sensation Thames. Princess Lover, X-Man, Lou City, October 4, and Ella May. The ultimate celebration, Sunday, May 10th, featuring the legendary Billy Ocean. Beverly Knight, Mervyn Wilkinson, R&B icons Brandy and Monica. Online tickets available at stluciajazzandartsfestival.com.
Hello, 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 and good night, good night. Welcome, 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 welcome to our Bouyon talk show. I want to say a big welcome to our guests. I want to say it's a pleasure, it's an honor having you guys on. I want to give you all the opportunity to introduce yourselves as I always do. I never do that. I allow you guys to say a little something about yourselves. Tell the people, tell our audience who you are and what you're all about. So Shauna, we want to start with you. Let's talk with you.
Okay, hi, my name is Shauna Bobbitt, and I am a mother to a beautiful 9-year-old girl, and I am a first-year teacher at a school PS 307 in Brooklyn. I'm also graduating next month from Bank Street College of Education with my master's in education.
Oh, wow, nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Janice?
Hi, my name is Janice Tobier. I'm a special education teacher right here in Brooklyn. I work with Kids Centric and Achieve Beyond, and I work with students with various abilities.
Thank you, Janice. And Delia, talk to me.
Good night, everyone. I am Dr. Delia Samuel. Career-wise, I'm a mathematics professor, but I am also the mother of two beautiful autistic young men. I am also autistic.
You know, wow. It's going to be an interesting conversation. So, Dr. Sel, let me ask you, before I go into what is autism and all of that good stuff, how old are your sons now?
My sons are 20 and 17.
17. Nice. Okay. All right, guys. Let's look at autism. When people think of autism, they think about, I don't want people to know my child is that way. What is autism? And I know there's a general definition for autism, but from your perspective, what is the definition of autism, and how do you see autism and how it plays in or affects lives of children? And I want to start with you, Delia.
Okay, I will start by saying what autism is not.
That's an interesting perspective, right?
It's not a disease. It
It's
is
not.
not something to be cured. Autism is lifelong. So if you look at some definitions online, you might see it's a deficit, it's a disorder, all negative words.
Mhm.
So I would characterize it as or describe it as a neurodevelopmental condition that affects the way an individual communicates, behave, and makes use of his senses to understand the world around them. And from the autistic brain, I am autistic, so I'd like to tell you what it means in the eyes of people with autism. It's just another way of life. It's just another path that we are walking. It's a different way of being. There's nothing wrong with it. We just arrive at different things in various ways, possibly not like the neurotypical people, but this is what it is, a different path.
Mhm.
Wow, interesting. And Shauna, I'm gonna come back to what you've discussed there, but Shauna, what are your views on
So,
autism?
for me, when someone asks me about autism, I tell them, being a first year special education teacher, that, you know, everybody is unique in their own way. Some people may think that individuals with autism lack emotions or all act the same. But no, that's not the case. Every person is unique in their own special way, and they have a different way of seeing other things and reaching to that outcome.
Thank you for that. Janice?
When someone asks me about autism, I'll piggyback on both what Shauna and Dr. Samuel says. It's not a disease, and it's every child has a unique ability. And that's what we first have to identify when a child is presented as autistic, because there's some strength in that child, and what you have to do is to build on it to help that child get to where he or she can perform. Because some are better at music, some are better at math, like Dr. Samuel, some are better at art. So it's just identifying that child's strength and then building on it before you can actually um, ca- cara- um, categorize them as behavior. Or and they do have behaviors, but if you know how to communicate and help them express themselves, even when they're nonverbal, they know how to express their needs.
You,
Mm-hmm.
you just said something there, right? And one of the things we know about autism is that no two individuals are the same. Everybody is different, right? Somebody might not like loud music. Somebody might show extreme amount of love and affection, and some might be very closed up and not be affectionate. So why is it that people exhibit different behaviors when they're autistic? And I want to put that question. I'll pose that question first to Dr. Samuel, and then anybody can piggyback on what you said.
Well, I could answer that by saying we are all different. So, autism is a spectrum. That's exactly what it is. So, we go from um, people with mild disabilities to severe disabilities, like one of my sons. So, one son is, I would say, has moderate disabilities, while the other one has severe disabilities. So he is nonverbal. He's at the level of a 1 to 2 year old, even though he's 17. So we display different disabilities because it is a spectrum.
Thank you. Anybody want to add to what Dr. Samuel just said?
I agree with Dr. Samuel. The same thing in my class. Like, my class is a self contained class with 8 students, and each of my students all have their unique way of doing anything. Pretty much, I have a creative one, I have one that loves music every day, comes in, talks about music nonstop, so I know I can reach to him through music. I have another student that loves cartoons, knowing that, I have to be animated with her. I have another student that's very shy and timid, don't want to say much. So I know for me, with her, it's a one-on-one conversation to help to support her in her needs. So she is absolutely right. Dr. Sam is absolutely right. It's a spectrum. Each child falls on a different part of the spectrum.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Janice, you want
also
to?
to add to what was just said, you have some, especially when they're nonverbal and they're trying to express themselves, it may look like they're throwing a tantrum. It may look like they're doing, expressing adverse behaviors. But what it really is, they want to communicate something. And because they're not being understood, or they don't know how to do it, they get frustrated. So you, as the teacher, as Shauna said, you have to know how to calm that child, and then have that child use like hand over hand, or tell them to show you by pointing, or show them pictures in order for them to be able to express those needs.
Thank you so much. Let's take one of the comments from one of our audience member who just said, Yolanda Bryce just said, you're absolutely right, Dr. Samuel. That's why I do not call children autistic. They are individuals with autism. Every individual is unique, and we have to change our mindset and approach it approach it as as people who are differently abled. I oppose to people who are disabled, and I think she's opposed to calling people that. And that's a I think Dr. Samuel made a very important point about not categorizing them or calling them that way. But one of the things that growing up, and I really want to address this today tonight, is that we look at people with disability or with maybe autism as they're different, yes, but are they less than we are? And I think that's the
No.
important point. And I know I just generated a whole heap of thing there of all emotions and thought. But in life, like sometimes, and I want to use an example, a live example of my situation where a teacher said, "Oh, your son." They called us and said, "Oh, your son, he's only doing." If my wife is on, she'll testify to that, or confirm that he's only doing trucks and vehicles and whatever, and he doesn't listen or he's not listening, and they think that he may be autistic. And I remembered that, and I remembered, and there's still a photo of me being extremely worried. And my wife shares it occasionally with me, says, "Remember that day?" And I said, "I remember that day." And I remember the day because I remembered we went to have an assessment done on a Saturday, it was. And my son was there with us, and then we were in an elevator. And he was assessed in the elevator, unknown to us. Just the professor just asking him questions, having a conversation, and they interacted. And she says, "He's not autistic. He's fine. He's a capable young man. He's good." Me saying all of that, I want you guys to tell me, what does it mean to be on the spectrum? Because a lot of times we talk about the spectrum. The spectrum. What is the spectrum? And what does that mean to be on the spectrum? And Janice, I'll start with you. What does it mean when someone says your child is on the spectrum or you are on the spectrum? Because from what I've understood, I think I'm on the spectrum. Is that relatable, or can you see what I'm talking about? Like, I'm a guy who like things in a certain way. Does that mean I'm on the spectrum?
Actually, I would start by saying this. I hear it a lot, but a lot of the times when teachers or persons say that child is on the spectrum, it's usually, in my experiences, based on the behavior, or if a child does not want to play with someone else and so on. But does that mean that they're on the spectrum? No. And most times, because I work with the early childhood population, I ask their parents to try and get the child evaluated. Because sometimes, like we keep saying, every child is unique. Sometimes they develop slower. I've had students where they said they're on the spectrum just because they didn't speak by the expected age. But then after a year or so of getting services, because up here in the US, or in New York, they say they're a student with disability between 3 and 5. They don't give them that label. It's after 5 they give them a classification, not a label, a classification. So what you find that, so when you say the child is on a spectrum, they usually go if the child is playing in parallel play or don't want to play with someone else, or the child is throwing tantrums, or if they're nonverbal. And I've had students who were nonverbal and just developed typically, and they were not autistic. They just had a speech delay.
Thank you. Anybody want to chime in on that question? Delia?
I would say when someone is on the spectrum, there are certain red flags that would pop up. So I'll give you an example. Autistic individuals love routine. They're extremely structured, extremely organized. But you may say, but I like routine. I have a routine to my day that I have to keep to. However, what happens when your routine is disrupted? How do you behave? Do you hit your head? Do you scream? Do you scratch people? Are you aggressive? Do you injure yourself? Are you in a situation where you just cannot cope? This is what happens with children who are autistic or individuals who are autistic. So, for example, I'll give you a situation with my children. So, there's a particular route that say we take to bring him to school, right? And in Minnesota, there's always construction. So sometimes we have to deviate to another route. All right. My child would not understand because he knows the route. So he might take his iPad and bang on his head. He might start screaming. He might want to get out of the vehicle. Where are you taking me? I need to get to school. So it is the level at which we cannot cope with this particular characteristic. So routine is one. The comprehension, the language comprehension may be different. As I said, some are nonverbal, but others you may have to converse with them differently.
Yes.
Autistic individuals, don't give them idioms. They will not understand you if you tell them, it's raining cats and dogs. They will look out for the cats and
It's in
dogs.
the box. Yeah.
So these are just some examples. And a big one about being on the spectrum is the sensory processing disorder.
Yes.
What is that? Using their senses to make use of the world around them. So they cannot cope with bright lights. It gives them physical pain. The textures of food, they may need to eat mushy food. Their clothing, they cannot take the tags. My son cannot wear jeans because of the quality of the material. Loud sounds, they cannot cope with parties. I remember bringing my sons to a party when they were small. They were literally bouncing off the walls, literally. They couldn't cope with it. So these are some of the characteristics.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samuel. Shauna, you want to add anything?
I agree because my classroom, I have to, like, if there's a switch in my schedule, I make sure to tell my students before we start our day, just so they're on point with me and we're all on the same page. And for the most part, it's been working. I tell them, like, listen, guys, I have to switch the schedule a little bit. We might have to do ELA first, and then we're going to go into math. And like, okay, I may get a few questions here, why, and this and that. And I'll explain it to them. Also, I have students, the same thing with the lighting in my room. A lot of them complain about the lighting. And I understand completely because the lighting in my room bothers me as well. So I agree with them. I put one light on and I have little lights in the back room. And then we have the smart board. Loud noise. I have plenty of sound counseling headphones for them, especially. The loud noises that we get, it's yeah. So I agree, definitely. But you have to, I would say if you're gonna switch your routine, just let them know. That's what I do in the morning before we start anything. I have them come in, unpack. I'm like, guys, can we take a quick look at the floor today? You guys know it's a Monday schedule. This is normally our schedule, but I had to make a little adjustments here and there, answer a few questions, and everything would go smoothly.
Wow. So it's about routine.
Yes.
We just
It's a lot
concerning
about
It's big.
routine.
a lot about routine. Let's just say good night and good evening to everyone who have joined us. We want to say, guys, thank you so much for being here. Uh, Sharice, I see you. I want to say good night to you. Chelsea, I see you as well. I want to say good night. I want to encourage you guys to like and share the page. Somebody just said, we witness so many children. We witness so many children in my age range, 3 to 5, that I teach who are misdiagnosed. And that's an important point about being misdiagnosed. How do we and Dr. Samuel, maybe you might be really equipped and to answer that question. Um, when a child comes, first of all, like saying, okay, is that child autistic? Because the child is particular, because they want certain things done, they behave in a certain way. How do we assess and how do we evaluate kids and know that they are autistic? Or is it a long drawn out process that we go through? Or is it just a few things that we look for and we say, okay, you're autistic or you're not?
It's actually done by a psychologist in St. Lucia. It's done by pediatricians who are
Mm.
qualified to assess that individual, and it is a drawn. It's long, and I will give you an example of for me when I was diagnosed, and I was diagnosed as an adult. I was diagnosed in 2021, and I only went to be I only went to the psychologist because I saw myself in my children. They were acting like me when I was younger. And what I had to do, because I was an adult, had these, I think it was a packet with at least 20 pages. Quite, I don't like to use the word intrusive, but it really went into my life, making me remember things I prefer to forget, you know. And so I had to go into my childhood, see what I was like as a child, what were my behaviors, what were my sensitivities, what didn't I like, what did people say about me. And they asked me critics in like things like about my attention to routine. Do I like detail? Do I like idle conversations? How do I deal with light? What have we been talking about? How do I deal with social situations? That's a big one.
Mhm.
How do I react? Can I hold conversations with people? And after that, my family members had to be interviewed about me. Ah, And then after that, I had to go to the psychologist. I think I sat there for over 2 hours, and she was just asking me questions, asking me about my behaviors and giving me different scenarios. How would you behave if you were in that situation? What would you say to that person? Um, are you extremely honest? Which I am. I this is something I'm working on. I just say as is. I'm extremely frank. I'm extremely honest. I cannot deal with lies. It's almost as if this is it's a no-no for me. And so I had to deal with all of that. And after that, she told me that it's obvious you're autistic, but without intellectual impairment or without need for support. In other words, I don't need help from anybody. I can live alone. And the same thing happened with my children when they were diagnosed. One was diagnosed really, really early. He must have been about 2 or 2.5. And the second one was about 4. And the 4-year-old, what happened with him is that he started speaking when he was 2, but he lost words. He just lost all his words. And I noticed with the way he used to play with toys, and his fixation for different things and his rocking back and forth and so on, and he was diagnosed with autism. Again, I had to go through all of this paperwork, which I honestly have difficulty with it. It's just too much paperwork for parents, to go through. And ask so many questions about him. And then they had to question him, bring him in a room, watch him play with blocks and with cars, and see his attention span. And some people confuse autism with ADHD.
Mhm.
However, a lot of autistic individuals do have ADHD, but some do not. And
Mhm.
so they think that people who have ADHD have autism, not necessarily.
Really.
Both of my sons have both. So it's a lot of you answer questions, but it's a lot of observation as well.
Yes.
Wow, thank
Yes, it
you.
is.
Shauna, you want to chime in here?
Yes, as I was listening to Dr. Samuels, where she said that a lot of people say that autism and ADHD is the same, and it's not. They may have some the same. Let me see, like the same. I want to say qualities, but I'm not too sure if that's the right word. But it's not. My daughter was diagnosed with ADHD, and she doesn't have autism, but it's a lot of some of the same. Um, oh, what's the word I'm looking for?
Is it
Drawing a blank.
characteristics? I don't know.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. The same characteristics I see in her, I see in some of my students as well. So all I like what I really want is for us as humans to understand that there's a difference between autism and ADHD. And like Dr. Samuel said, one may have both, the other may not have one or the other. But there is a difference, and you have to understand it's going to take a lot of communications. It's going to take an open mind to work with individuals that are autistic and a lot of patience. Communication and being open mind, I think, are the most strongest things that we can have to help individuals with autism.
Thank you for that. Janice, do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, because I'm in the early childhood section, I piggyback on both what Dr. Samuel and Shauna says, but at the same time, and that's what sometimes turn the parents away, is those packets. They're so
Hmm.
thick, especially for the initial um to just to get permission to start the test with the psychologist, the special ed teacher, the speech, the OT, the PT, that's and all of that. And the parents only need to sign one paper, but the packet is so thick. And then it also causes, I don't know if people know, a few years back, once a child was enrolled in special ed, they continued special ed for the rest of their life. That has changed. And
Hmm.
parents don't want to do that. A lot of them, they get into the denial stage. And if anybody have ever listened to Dr. Samuel give her story or read her book, you'll find the different stages that she went through, which a lot of parents go through. Because of that, I'm a very strong advocate for parents. And I encourage my parents to get their children tested, because that's the only way you can know the difference. Because sometimes the teachers will just tell them, I listen to the teachers tell the parent, oh, your child seemed to have autism. How can you diagnose a 3 or 5 year old with autism when they've not gone through the process? And most times, some of them don't have it. Some of them are truly spoiled, and they exhibit
Yeah.
behaviors that tells that they're spoiled, but it doesn't mean that they're autistic. So it's always better to go through the process and
Get your child
just give yourself that peace of mind. That's what I'll say.
Thank you for that. We have something from again Yolanda, who said autism is not manifested in the same way for all persons with the condition. It has an extremely wide range. As a result, it's called a spectrum because of that breadth. Autism cannot be fit on the uniformed blanketed list of descriptions, behaviors. And I know exactly what she's saying, and she's saying that because, and you guys have said that autism is so broad, and the spectrum is so wide because even
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and Dr. Samuel made a very good point that you've lived your life never even thinking that there's anything wrong with you, right? Maybe now you think when you're diagnosed, or maybe as looking at your kids, you kind of think, when I was growing up, I was like that. But then you're an amazingly remarkable, brilliant woman who have gone. I mean, you must be really bright to be doing mathematics, right? So I'm just saying that, right? And the point I'm trying to make is is how we as communities, as a society, what is our perception of autism? We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, I want to discuss how we as a society look at autism and how we can make a difference and make changes to how we think or how we look at persons who may be suffering from such conditions, if that's a good way to put it. I'm very careful with my words tonight because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Thank you guys. Again,
Thank
we will be right back.
Thursday, April 30th, the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026. Opening night ignites at the Mindu Phillip Park, and we're blazing the trail with the King of Fire, Cableton.
Say more fire. Slew them up, be feelings, them a carry. Them done bow already and then
Cableton.
Jaja City, Jaja Town, them off it on it in a cowboy town.
Smooth and melodic Tiani. Dancehall's bold new voice, Valiant. The King of Bouyon, Asa Bantan. Country power with international star
You say that your new love's not
Amber Digby. St. Lucian country icons LM Stone and Siobhan Seeley. Plus a special tribute to Kaiso legends. Thursday, April 30th at the Mindu Phillip Park. Be there. Tickets online at St. Lucia Jazz and ArtsFestival.com and physical tickets at regular outlets.
Let the rhythm inspire you at the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2026. Pure Jazz. Tuesday, May 5th, Grammy-winning Esperanza Spalding. Then on Thursday, May 7th, Branford Marcellus Quartet. May 6th, Kingdom Night, Gospel Powerhouse Ty Tribbett. Ada AE. Then feel the rhythm at Caribbean Fusion. Friday, May 8th, featuring the original Wailers with Al Anderson. Skip Marley, Cast the Band. Imran Nerdy, Dexter Daps. World Beats. Saturday, May 9th, Afrobeat sensation Thames. Princess Lover, X-Man, Lou City, October 4, and Ella May. The Ultimate Celebration, Sunday, May 10th, featuring the legendary Billy Ocean. Beverly Knight, Mervyn Wilkinson, R&B icons Brandy and Monica. Online tickets available at stluciajazzandartsfestival.com.
Once again, I want to thank you guys for not logging off. Don't forget to like and share the page. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Watch Radio is on. Peter D is here, and we're doing things our way. We're talking about autism. I want to thank all of our guests here tonight. It's important that we have these conversations. I also want to thank our sponsors, St. Lucia Tourism Authority, for sponsoring our Bouyon Talk Show. And of course, it's all about St. Lucia Jazz Festival. So, ladies, let's talk a little bit about the stigma, how people look at autism and is it right or is it wrong? I remembered the thought process that ran through my mind when my son preschool said we think you should get him assessed and so on. I remembered all of the emotions that run through my head. Is there that stigma of being ashamed? Is that point of, oh my God, is my child autistic? Will my child be able to fit in society? How will that impact my child? And Shauna, I wanna start with you because you deal with kids with autism all the time. And I kind of wanted to walk us through what it is like to be teaching a class full of children with different needs, because it could be so daunting and challenging because everybody in that room there's a different expectation for each of them.
So for me, a typical day is honestly it's fun. I find it very fun. My children, my students, they are they are full of energy for once. Every morning they come into school, they're on 10, and I'm about to get to 10, so I can at least meet them halfway. And they're always asking, "What are we doing today? Are we having gym?" And I tell them, "Okay, okay, yes, we have gym, but first, let's focus on the first thing. Let's go get breakfast and get upstairs, settle, and get ready for the day." Um, it's like you said, it's a lot of different personalities in the class. So I may have one student want to ask about the whole day, then the other student want to ask about the prep schedule, what time are they going to gym, and it's a lot to handle. But you have to understand and know, okay, you have to give me 1 minute. I'm going to answer your question. Stay right here. Don't move. Stay right here. And then you talk to one student, answer that question, go to the next student, answer that question. And then after that, I usually ask everybody if they have any more questions throughout the day to check in. I also do my check-ins with them, especially if I see throughout the day like they're having a rough time. It could be during recess, lunch, even when I'm teaching a lesson. I see the frustration if they're not getting something. So I always tell them, if you don't understand something, please let me know. That's my job. That's what I'm here for. And we always use our check-in system. So I'll ask them thumbs up if you understand, thumbs to the side if you're still confused, thumbs down if you don't understand. And yes, it's a lot to remember,
Okay, all right.
but it
So,
helps. It helps.
wow. Janice, you want to add up?
Yeah, when you talk about the stigma, a lot of people tend to say, or when they see individuals who are autistic, they have this, like, if you meet them outside. I've had students with their parents, when we go out or we're in the play yard or something, some people look at them when they have their meltdowns and so on and say, oh, they just don't know how to behave. And some teachers say, oh, I don't want to deal with them, you need to take that student, and so on. But they don't take the time to understand. Sometimes I have to say, no, you have to ask the child, because some of those who speak, you have to give them that time to express themselves. And I think that's why I'm glad that I'm part of HAPA, um, and in St. Lucia, where I'm the secretary and Dr. Samuel is the president. And that's been since 2015. I must say there's been a lot more awareness, and there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of the awareness, and not even when um, persons with autism go to church, they don't understand. And some parents don't want to take them out. Some parents don't want to do typical stuff with them because of how people label them or how people see them, or make the parent think or the family think that they're bad at parenting. And that's not the case. And they just need the support, they need the love, they need the help. The parents themselves are overwhelmed, and they need that support to help them realize they didn't do anything wrong. They just need that support to know how to work with the child or the children.
I'm happy you brought this out, and I want to say that to parents out there that there's nothing wrong in getting your child assessed. If you're not doing a disservice to them, I think you actually helping them, because if they're not autistic, then great. If they are autistic, then they will get the necessary help that they need.
Yes.
Dr. Samuel, I know you can't wait
Yeah,
to chime in here,
yeah.
but I'm going to compound the question that I asked with of course talking a little bit about. I think Janice jumped me here, about
Sorry.
your that's all right, about your organization back home. And I gave you a lot of power when we were on. I say you never told me anything about your organization. You should have told
Yes.
me. We would have put it that's who we are at Watch Radio. We believe in promoting things that are important. So tell us a little bit about the organization. Tell us how you came up with the name. Tell us. So my question to you is a lotta. So tell us more about the organization. What I know. I think I know what made you went that route, but I want you to tell our audience a little bit about it.
Okay, and I hope you come back to me with the stigma question because I have a lot to say about that from an autistic
I
point of
know.
view. Yes, so HAPA is our organization and it stands for Helen Association for Persons with Autism. And how was it born? So it was from my story. As you know, I have two children with autism, and I went through a grief process, denial, confusion, a lot of anger, a lot of guilt. And then I reached the acceptance stage where I accepted autism. And I have to say right now, I've added a new stage to the grief process. I'm at the rejoicing stage. I actually rejoice in autism. I love autism. So I'm at that stage. So it was when I was at the acceptance stage and I had reached a point where I can do this. And I saw so many parents in speaking to others, so many parents were still angry and so much in denial. And what happened is that I wanted to give back to St. Lucia and to let them know that you can triumph against the odds in spite of this challenging journey. And so in 2015, I came up with this idea, this big idea, and people told me, you cannot do this, to have the first Autism Awareness Conference in St. Lucia. That was in 2015. And I had 300 participants there. And it was there I roped in my dear Janice Tobier, as well as my vice president, Susie Hall Fontaine. And so I roped in Janice. The two of us went down to St. Lucia with some therapists, and we had that conference. And that was the beginning of what we called at that time the St. Lucia Autism Awareness Conference. And what was the purpose of it? To promote autism awareness in St. Lucia, and not only awareness, acceptance, and to help families, to help them to get the resources that they need, and to help them to navigate. It is not an easy road, this difficult journey of autism. And that is why HAPA is here. And our logo and is a hibiscus, actually. It's the St. Lucian hibiscus, but the colors are the colors of the flag, you know? And why? We chose the hibiscus. It's a familiar flower, but it's unique and it is beautiful, which is what every autistic individual is. You are unique. You are beautiful. There's nothing wrong with you. You do not need fixing. You are not a burden. So that is what we are. And our slogan is embracing uniqueness, unlocking potential. Because every autistic individual can thrive when given the necessary support. And we all have the potential to be the best we can be and to contribute to society, but we have to be given the necessary supports.
Yes.
Wow. But let me tell you, I'm not stopping you because I want you to tell me about the stigma that is attached to autism and being surrounded by autistic people.
You know, Peter D., the most difficult part for me of the autism journey, it's a difficult part for parents, you know, with our children, it's difficult. But the most difficult part is the social aspect of autism, how people see us. They make a judgment of us. We are told that we are burdens. We are told that we need fixing. We are told that there is something wrong with us. We are ostracized. We are pushed aside. We are called names. We are not given the correct supports in school. We are ridiculed. We are abused. We are called go-go. You know how many times I have been asked to leave a store when I am with my children because they kind of deal with the crowds, they kind of deal with the lighting and the sounds, and so sometimes they would take things off the shelf and so on. I've been told, Mom, you need to leave. When I go to church, they don't like the way my children dance. My children are a distraction. You need to leave. This is the stigma. This is what is happening. And you see, there's a stigma on all mental illnesses. As long as there is some form of mental illness, no, you have to be ostracized. You're not like us. You are different. They cannot cope with differences in people. There is a lot of ableism in society. What is ableism? Where they look at us as less than, and you cannot fit in. So I'll give you a simple example. Imagine a world or community where there are only short people. The tallest person is 5 feet. And so everything is built for people who are 5 feet or under. The doorways are for these people. The cars are made for them. The houses are made for them. But all of a sudden, some mothers gave birth to children who grew up to be over 5 feet, 6 feet. What happened when they passed through the doorways? They started bumping their heads. They could not fit into the cars. They could not move properly into the homes. They became physically ill or bent. What did the rest of society say? Why are you so tall? You're not like us. You need to be cast aside, pushed aside. They're called names. Tolly, you are so ugly. Abusing them. When instead, they could increase the height of the doorways, make better cars, to enable them to thrive. It is the same thing with autistic individuals. All we need, all we need is love, respect, and support.
Amen.
That is all we need, and we will thrive.
Wow. That's powerful what you just said there. Guys, let's I know our time is running out. We have 8 more minutes, and that's
Wow.
the thing in Bouyon, right? When you start to get to the meat of the thing is when the time is ready to end, right? But I want to say all good things must come to an end, and so must Bouyon. But before we go, we look at autism and autism awareness, and it's all about autism and humanity. Every life has value. And I want from your perspective, ladies, to tell me what you think or how does that uh, uh, theme for Autism Day, Autism Month, how do you when you hear that theme, how do you relate to it? And I want to start with you, Janice, and then we'll take Sean, and then we'll go to you, Dr. Samuel.
When I hear that, I get excited. And I'll tell you why. Because that there's always Mother's Day, Father's Day, Children's Day, and so on. But when I hear that for my students, I get very, very excited. And I look forward to wearing the blue. I look forward to us doing the various activities in the school. I look for us being able to celebrate the child and their abilities, my students and their abilities, not only them, but also the parents. Because like on April 2nd, I told everybody in my different schools, make sure you wear blue to celebrate my students. And then I did, when I went with my students, when I got to school, I celebrated them. I did things, whatever they liked. I make sure that that day was all about them. It wasn't about the usual day. I just made it about them. Or sometimes I brought those who are sensory. They got a little sensory toy. They got something that would make them happy and allow them to be celebrated. Because like you said, they are humans too. They're no less than us. And I came from a family with at the time I didn't know they were autistic, but I had I'm from a family with a few persons with autism, and And now I have come to understand. And before growing up, they call them dummy. They call them all sorts of names. But now I understand who they are and what they're human, just like any one of us.
Thank you so much, Janice. Shauna?
Wow. Yep, I agree with Janice. So every life has value. I want everybody to understand that and know that. And that's something that we should all carry with us. And when we carry that with us, we create a more compassionate, inclusive world where we can help one another, especially individuals with autism. And I honestly, I celebrate my students every day in anything that they do. It involves giving stickers, verbal praises. We do little dances here and there,
Oh, yes.
like everything. You name it, we do it in my class. As long as my students are good and know that they are valued, they are seen, they are respected, and know that my attention to them comes from a place of love and they're not judged. They feel safe in my classroom. So that's something that we have to carry with us. And we also need to let people know that autism is something that you should not fear or misunderstood. Take the time out, open mind, communication, that is all key.
Thank you, Shauna. Dr. Samuel?
I love the phrase every life has value. Not one, not some, but every life. Neurotypical, neurodivergent, you are all important. We all need to be valued and respected. It is a basic human right. So celebrate each other. We know the phrase do unto others as as you would like them to do unto you. I also say, do unto others as you would like them, as they would like you to do unto them. Value people, respect. Education is not for some, it's for all. All of us have to be celebrated. All of us need love and acceptance. I see. You know the movie Avatar? I see you. I see the autistic individuals. Get to know them. We are beautiful. Get to know us, and you would love us and understand us. Become aware,
Mhm.
accept, and include.
Thank you so much for that, Delia. Thank you so much. Let's just read what Sabina just says. She says, Ms. Bobbitt, I love that you create a space for your students to express how they feel. The kind of interaction in the classroom is powerful. This kind of interaction is powerful. Well done, lady. Yolanda said,
Thank you.
teaching children with autism is challenging, as it is teaching in general. The sad thing is that most people equate autism with unintelligence or difficulty in learning. Many children with autism have incredible IQs and have abilities
Yes, they
that
do.
are far surpass that of
Yes.
their peers. As a matter of fact, sometimes the disability lie in the teachers, caregivers, and people in the community who are ill-equipped and inadequate to interact with these individuals. They have a unique way of expressing and processing. And she also said because we are uncomfortable with differences, we have been conditioned to always want to fit in, or else we feel inadequate.
Hmm.
And she says about you guys are giving me life. Thank you guys for the shares.
You're
She says
welcome.
amazing show, and Sabina said amazing show. Yes, Yolanda, and I'll tell you this, right? Yolanda made some really good points. A lot of times, I think it is us that are not able to deal and to cope. I've met a number of persons who are autistic and who have disabilities, and one of the things I found is that there's so much love with these individuals. The amount of love they give you is kind of like unmeasurable, man.
Yeah.
It's just so unique.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, what? So, you know, so I'm really tonight happy that you ladies accepted my invitation to be on this show. I want to thank you so very much. One of the things I do, I like to say I want to do a part two. I think I want to do a part three as well. Part two and then part three. I think it's important. I think for me, educating and letting people know that we should not be ashamed. We should not hold it against persons or
Mm-hmm.
our children who are suffering or or who are autistic. We should not hold it against them. We should love them. We should embrace them,
Yes.
and we should teach them.
Yes.
And I think that's important. But before we go, normally on my show, I like to have the last word, and I will. But I want to give each of you guys 30 seconds to address the audience and say anything that you want to say. And Shauna, I'll start with you, and Janice, you next, and then, of course, Dr. Samuel will be last.
Thanks for having me on the show. This was a blast. I had fun, and I don't know how much I can stress this out. Be a support system for the families, especially for the students. Be an advocate for the students and the families. And just remember, like I said, like we all said tonight, everyone is unique in their own way, but we have to have an open mind and be inclusive and accept everyone for who they are. Love is strong. I just, yeah, love is strong and just accept them.
Thank you very much,
You're
Janice.
welcome.
And I piggyback on what Miss Bobbitt says. Love. I think the key word is love and embracing each individual's uniqueness. And when we do that, it helps the parents and others to better
Mhm.
understand who they're dealing with. And I thank you for having me, and for the audience having me. And I think just remember to love, embrace, and remember everyone is unique and has a different potential.
Thank you, Delia.
I want to tell the audience to stand with us, stand with our organization, HAPA, because our goal is to build a community where no autistic individual feels alone and feels invisible, where no parent feels alone, where no educator feels unsupported. So stand with us and make things happen to promote inclusion. And a final word for the parents who are walking this journey, the parents of autistic individuals. Kudos, kudos to you. Big up to you. And I want to let them know that they are enough, that they are enough. And in the same way that they love their children unconditionally, to love themselves unconditionally because
Yes.
they deserve it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Samuel. I want to thank you guys for joining us on, of course, Bouyon tonight. I want to thank my guests for being here. Don't forget, you guys have a platform to talk about autism. I want to, tell everybody out there that every life has value. Every person has value. Let us treat each other with respect, with kindness, and with love. Once again, I want to say thank you for being on Bouyon Talk Show tonight. Good night, goodbye, and see you guys next time.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Bye.